Shauwn MaMkhize wants South Africans to accept a particular narrative. A narrative of resilience. A narrative of sacrifice. A narrative centered on a woman who started with nothing and rose to become one of the country's most recognizable millionaires. Yet beyond the champagne celebrations, the Rolls Royces, the designer brands, and the carefully polished Instagram images, another narrative continues to surface. One filled with courtrooms, tax disputes, curatorship, unpaid wages, and money tied to the state. And this has sparked an uneasy question that many people are now asking openly. Did Shauwn MaMkhize truly build her empire from the ground up, or is her success the result of a system that rewards closeness to power more than effort? Shauwn MaMkhize has never avoided controversy. Instead, she often confronts it directly when critics accuse her of inheriting wealth or benefiting unfairly from political connections. She responds firmly. In a 2023 News 24 interview promoting her memoir, My World, My Rules, she stated clearly that she did not grow up privileged. She said there was no silver spoon in her mouth. She explained that nothing came easily to her and that her early life was shaped by struggle, hardship, and constant challenges. Most importantly, she emphasized that she refused to allow her background to define her future. It is a compelling story, especially in a country where poverty, inequality, and limited opportunity shape the daily reality of millions. But motivation alone does not explain a reported net worth of approximately $300 million. That is where deeper scrutiny begins. The foundation of Shauwn MaMkhize's wealth lies in her business interests, particularly within construction and related services. At the center is the Zikulize Group, which includes Zikulize Construction, Auto Recoveries, Maintenance and Transport Operations, and Inyine Trading. These businesses did not expand through retail sales or exports. Their growth came through contracts, specifically government contracts, largely within KwaZulu-Natal housing and infrastructure projects. In post-apartheid South Africa, construction tied to public sector projects has long been one of the fastest routes to wealth, and also one of the most controversial. Tender systems, political influence, inflated costs, and repeated allegations of corruption have haunted the industry for decades. Shauwn MaMkhize has consistently maintained that her companies operated lawfully and competitively. However, critics argue that the speed and scale of her rise cannot be separated from the political environment in which it occurred. This debate goes beyond one individual. It reflects a broader pattern where politically connected figures have repeatedly become millionaires through state deals, while ordinary South Africans wait years for homes that remain unfinished, delayed, or never delivered. Where supporters see a determined entrepreneur, critics see someone who benefited from a deeply flawed system. The controversy followed Shauwn MaMkhize as she expanded her interests into one of South Africa's most emotional and visible arenas, football. In 2021, she made national headlines after purchasing Bloemfontein Celtic's Premier Soccer League status for $50 million. The club was rebranded as Royal AM, with Shauwn MaMkhize positioned at the center of the spectacle. It was bold, loud, and deeply personal. Royal AM was more than a football club. It became an extension of the Shauwn MaMkhize brand. Luxury vehicles arrived at matches, designer fashion dominated social media, and the message was unmistakable: wealth, confidence, and power. Initially, the strategy appeared successful. Royal AM lifted the MTN 8 Cup and qualified for CAF competitions. Fans were promised a glamorous future and a club ready to compete at the highest level. But football, unlike social media, often exposes what lies beneath the surface. By 2024, Royal AM was placed under financial curatorship. Reports surfaced of unpaid salaries, leaving players and staff uncertain about their future. Assurances turned into explanations, and confidence gave way to crisis management. In a May 2025 interview with IOL, Shauwn MaMkhize acknowledged the situation, explaining that the club was working with the curator to obtain approval to release funds for salaries. She also issued an apology for the hardship caused. For many observers, this marked a turning point. While the club projected wealth and success publicly, behind the scenes it struggled to meet basic financial obligations. This gap between image and reality has come to define much of the Shauwn MaMkhize story. At the same time, Shauwn MaMkhize's profile grew through television. Her reality show, launched in 2020, gave viewers an inside look at her lifestyle, luxury homes, high-end vehicles, extravagant celebrations, and designer wardrobes. The show gained strong local and international attention, transforming her from a business figure into a full-fledged celebrity. She later appeared as a guest on the SABC One drama Yizo Yizo, further blurring the line between entrepreneur and entertainer. Social media amplified this image even further. Within a year, Shauwn MaMkhize gained over 1 million Instagram followers. Today, that number is close to 4 million. Her posts became aspirational, offering a visual promise of success. She was even recognized by the Feather Awards for her influence on digital culture. However, critics argue that the reality show and social media presence also served to control the narrative. While audiences saw luxury, confidence, and wealth, they did not see court documents, tax battles, or mounting financial strain. This leads directly to SARS. As Shauwn MaMkhize's public profile expanded, reports of legal and financial challenges followed. Her tax dispute with the South African Revenue Service became public, and the symbols of success began to take on new meaning. According to reports, Shauwn MaMkhize owns a Rs 20 million mansion in La Lucia, Durban. Her wider property portfolio reportedly includes luxury homes, Santan properties, and farmland in Pietermaritzburg. Her vehicle collection alone is estimated at more than Rs 55 million, featuring over 20 high-end cars, Rolls-Royces, Lamborghinis, Ferraris, Bentleys, and Aston Martins. Yet during the SARS dispute, reports indicated that 14 of those vehicles were placed on auction lists. Few things dismantle the image of limitless wealth faster than the forced sale of luxury assets. Auctions do not suggest abundance, they suggest pressure. They point to a moment where financial realities begin to outweigh appearances. Supporters of Shauwn MaMkhize argue that tax disputes are common, that large businesses experience setbacks, and that public figures are often unfairly targeted. That is true. Wealth alone is not a crime. But the contradictions remain difficult to ignore. How does someone with assets worth hundreds of millions struggle to pay football players? How can a billionaire lifestyle exist alongside curatorship and auctions? And how does a self-made success story align with wealth so deeply tied to state-linked contracts? These are not personal attacks. They are public questions raised because Shauwn MaMkhize chose to live her life publicly. In South Africa, wealth is never just about money. It carries history, inequality, and unresolved trauma. When extreme luxury is displayed in a country where millions lack basic services, scrutiny becomes unavoidable. When that wealth intersects with government funding, scrutiny becomes essential. Shauwn MaMkhize often describes criticism as jealousy or misunderstanding. Sometimes that may be true. But not all criticism is envy. Often, it is about accountability. Shauwn MaMkhize is not merely a private individual, she is a symbol. A symbol of post-apartheid aspiration. A symbol of black excellence. A symbol of what success appears to look like in a system still struggling with fairness. Symbols matter. They influence how young people define success. They shape how entrepreneurship is understood. They help determine whether effort is seen as the path forward, or whether access to power is. So the real question is not whether Shauwn MaMkhize worked hard. The real question is whether hard work alone explains everything. Because when the cameras turn off, the spotlight fades, and auctions begin, the story becomes far less glamorous and far more revealing. This is not only about Shauwn MaMkhize. It is about the system that produces figures like her. It is about the blurred boundary between business and politics. And it is about a country still trying to understand who truly benefits from democracy. Until those questions are answered honestly, the Shauwn MaMkhize story will never be purely inspirational. It will remain controversial.